Good morning, everybody. How are you? It's Saturday. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. It's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be a good way to start our weekend by looking at some data science stuff and talking with each other and meeting data enthusiasts from all around the world. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm really excited to get the weekend going. It's going to be beautiful. I searched through some of my old items yesterday, my own personal items, found some old hobbies that I'd like to do. So I'm going to start, doing some of my hobbies this weekend after I'm done with streaming. Going to do some content stuff, going to do some stuff on our Discord. So nothing but good stuff coming up this weekend. Let me make a slight camera adjustment here because I want to bring in a little bit more of the picture. There we go. So I hope that you are also doing well and that your weekend is off to a good start. If you want to let me know what you have going on this weekend, let me know what your plans are. Let me know what you're up to. As you guys know, we always start off with our global roll call. So feel free to let me know in the chat your city, state, or province or country that you're from. It helps us all see the global community of data scientists and lets us all, spend time together and kind of get to know each other in that way. So let me just double check to make sure that I have all of my chat items properly working. Give me just a second. I want to check all of my windows. Yep, everything seems to be working as intended. Okay, so I always like to start off with an opening note. And let me bring that up again. I always like to start off with an opening note. And today I'd like to talk to you about the different coding tools that are available in data science. Now, for the most part, there's going to be a difference between the coding tools that you use on your own versus the coding tools that you're going to be using in a work environment. And that's perhaps one of the most challenging parts of joining a new team, where you're going to have to adjust to that team's operations, how that particular team works. That's not always easy because, not only is there a learning curve for where the code is and what their code looks like, what the code base is like, but it also might be a learning curve for you in the tools that they use. Maybe at home you use VS Code, but they use PyCharm or something else, right? So it's going to be key for you to be able to make those adjustments. That's also particularly true for those of you that are looking to go into consulting. I know that I get a lot of questions from people that are going to consulting, or maybe they want to do freelance consulting. Having to adjust to the client's tools is it's a skill, right? It's not something that just happens overnight. So that's something that you're also going to have to adjust to when you're kind of getting started in your career, where you're going to have to be able to get up to speed on any number of tools very quickly. In addition to that, they might have some tools within their own workplace that are customized to them that you might not have available at home to practice. So that might require you to stay a little bit later, put in some extra time, or whatever the case may be, to be able to understand their individual approach to however they're doing their development. One of the keys to this also will be a reminder to you that I always advocate for maybe using notebooks less and less in your career and trying to use more of the independent tools, like your own independent IDE and then your own independent terminal or other methods to run that code. Having that type of flexibility is also beneficial because that's usually an environment or a development setup that you can duplicate in just about every environment that you walk into, right? I mean, basically no one's going to turn you down for the opportunity to use a terminal window, right? I think most people allow for that in some way. So develop these skills, work on getting away from the comfort zone that you have with your IDE. Maybe one day you're working in one IDE, maybe you're working in another. It's beneficial to kind of develop that flexibility and also the knowledge of the other tools. When's the last time you used Eclipse? Maybe you need to do some development in Eclipse to help you kind of get familiar with that tool. Believe it or not, there's still plenty of companies that use Eclipse. When's the last time you used an additional source control other than Git? There's other source controls out there. Maybe you need to get away from using Git. Not everybody, uses Git and GitHub, right? So keep that in mind, okay? So I see more people joining us, which is great. Please go ahead and let me know your city, state, country that you're from. Love to hear more from you. So I'm gonna while I'm waiting for more people, or while giving you more time to say hello, I'm gonna go ahead and start in our chat. I just want to check one more thing, guys. Sorry about that. I'm seeing some viewers on YouTube, but they haven't introduced themselves yet. I guess they're still being, YouTube is being a little shy this morning, and that's okay. But feel free to just let us know where you're from if you're comfortable with that. I just want to make sure my software isn't missing any of the chats. It looks to be working okay. Yep. Okay, wow, we actually have a participant from Kick. Hey Kick, Roblox Thug 69, let us know where you're from, just the city, state, province you're from. We always like to get started in that way. All right, so our first chat is hello Dennis, hello everyone, good vibes from Belgium. That's from Landry. Landry, good to see you. How are you? You've been such a consistent supporter. Really appreciate you. Hope that you're well in Belgium. Let us know if you have any projects or anything else going on as far as, data science or anything else you want to share. We'd love to hear more from you. All right, so Daniel is already asking a question. He's introducing himself and asking a question. Hi, Dennis. I'm Daniel from Pakistan. Hope you're great and wanted to ask some quick questions. I'm 19 currently, as I'm extremely passionate about machine learning since 2021 and learned so much theory in chunks. Okay. But I wasn't able to coop up concepts, so I just completed my Oracle AI Associate exam, moving forward to Oracle Gen AI Professional exam so I can move towards selling Gen AI and ML freelance services. All right, cool. Just because to gain some capital and make an ML model which train on explicit data, and leveraging that will something need topics of freelance and Gen AI and ML all over industry wise too. Thanks. Okay, well, need some type of freelance Gen AI. Okay, so I'm not familiar with that particular certification, Daniel, but if you feel like that's preparing you in a way that you want, then that's great. I'm going to guess here, and you can correct me. The challenge that I find with these certificates, though, is that they are very much aimed at their products, right? They want to give you an Oracle certification so that you can sell Oracle products. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of puts you in a box, right? In the US, we would say that it pigeonholes you, because now you're just going to be like an Oracle guy, right? So there's two ways to go with that. The first way is to completely embrace it, right? You're going to be Mr. Oracle from now on. You're going to know every single product, every single offering, every single configuration, use case, everything, right? That's one way to go about it. Just embrace Oracle. You're going to be an Oracle guy for the next 10, 15 years, and you're just going to learn everything about it. You want to become the Oracle Gen AI expert, right? And as far as selling those, or kind of being a professional in that field, the more common path that you should start off with, especially since you're so young, you still kind of need to get a little bit more experience in actually running projects and actually dealing with clients, right? I'm not sure if you'd be ready for that on a freelance basis, right? All of these vendors, all of these programs also have what are known as these partner programs, where there'll be consulting agencies out there. And those consulting agencies basically sell their services on behalf of Oracle, right? So, they're usually called a partner program or an installer program or a consulting program. So you kind of want to look for some of those agencies. You want to look for some of those agencies and say, hey, I'm Mr. Oracle, would you hire me? Can I come work for you? And that way you can start getting used to working on projects and working with clients, interfacing with clients. And then later on, look into doing your own freelance thing. But that's probably the more common model for somebody like you, right? To completely embrace Oracle, learn everything you can about them, get every certification they offer, and then go work for a partner. And then even with the partner, there'll be different levels. They'll have the silver partner, the gold partner, the platinum partner. So even then you can kind of work your way up to working for a platinum partner, right? And that's usually going to be a large consulting agency. The other option is to get just the initial requirements for Oracle or the initial certifications, and then start getting your IBM certification and then your Azure certification and whatever other large installers you want to do, or large consulting companies you want to do. That's going to be something where that's also another viable career path for you, right? Where you want to go ahead and start looking at these other certifications that are out there and kind of expanding your resume. Okay. So I hope that helps you, Daniel. It's good that you're young and you're still looking at, all these certifications, which is great. But you have to make some decisions there as far as how you're going to go, because otherwise you're going to get too tied to Oracle, but not be deeply committed enough to them, to really just, be able to kind of master their tools and really work with them. Okay. So Roblox Thug from 69. Roblox Thug, you are our very first participant from Kick. So I really appreciate you being here. I push out to Kick, but I don't really get a lot of people there. So really glad you're here. So Roblox asks, what is ISL? So good question. ISL refers to this book, Introduction to Statistical Learning. If you're not familiar with this book is where professional data science begins. It's a book that is very common in academic programs, especially at the graduate level. And we are studying this book every Sunday at 1500 GMT. You can come join us. You can also go on my YouTube and look at the replays. I posted my replays of that book so that you can watch them there. But that book is going to give you a really good foundation for your further data science studies. So if you get away from all the, all the boot camps and the free tutorials, all this stuff, I am guiding you through the book, and I'm also giving you a real world view of what is actually used from that book. Because, the authors did a great job. I really appreciate the authors. But then I also go and curate the chapters, and I say, okay, yeah, I definitely use this. I've definitely used this. This maybe I haven't used so much. So I kind of try to give you that real world view of how these concepts are used. Every concept in that book is important. It's an excellent book, but I try to add value by letting you know what it is, what is relevant in in 2024. So Sundays 1500 GMT. Feel free to join us for that. Feel free to get caught up. You can find all of the items on my YouTube. You can find all the previous classes. There are 4 previous classes. We have 4 more to go. Okay. So thanks for the question, Roblox. Anything else I can help you with? Let me know. But glad to see that you're on Twitch. Rohan, good morning. Rohan, you were a little late this morning. You had me thinking that my YouTube chat was broken. I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, Rohan can't get in. My YouTube chat's broken, because you're always here. You're always early. So it's good to see you, Rohan. Hope that you're doing well. Michael says, hello, Dennis. And hey, Michael, good to see you. Michael, you've been asking some amazing questions recently. I love seeing your questions in the chat. You have a very curious mind. I love that. Manoj HD says, good morning, sir. Hello, everyone from Bangalore, India. Good morning, Manoj. Hope you're doing well. I know it's not morning for you, so I appreciate you acknowledging the morning. Really appreciate that. If you're still joining us on Instagram, please let us know the city, state, country that you're from, or feel free to post a question in the chat. I'm taking on all questions. So Nabil is following up with a question here. So Nabil says, "Hi Dennis, this is Nabil from Algeria." Welcome, Nabil. Currently based in Paris. I was wondering, what are your favorite tools for data science, AI, and cloud technologies? Yeah, Nabil, that's a great question, and it kind of speaks to the opening note that I had, right? I think that you're gonna need to draw a distinction versus what you use at home versus what you use at a client site, right? Because those two things are not always the same. So I try to not have favorites per se. I try to maintain a little bit more of a flexible attitude to what I use, because clients are going to have all kinds of different tools, all kinds of different setups, right? Some will do source control, some won't. Some will use Visual Studio, some will use VS Code, some will use Eclipse, PyCharm. Some will be using terminal, like on Linux. Some will be using cloud. So it pays to be flexible, especially if you're going into the consulting world. In the consulting world, I would say 10 to 15% of the skill is you being able to adjust to what your client's doing. So that's my view on that, where a lot of the skill is just in being flexible and not getting too tied down to one product. So there's products that I favor when I'm at home, when I'm working on my own stuff, but I still don't think of that as my favorite tool or, the only thing that I know, right? I'm still flexible to be able to work on other things. So at home, my favorite setup is Visual Studio Code. And then I use Conda for my environment management. And then I use my own terminal, my own ways to run the code. Like I use Conda to set up my initial environments. I use Anaconda to visually set up my initial environments, and then I close it out, and then I manage everything else from terminal. And then that terminal may be going to either my local processing power, or I may use a remote server. I have a couple of droplets on DigitalOcean. I think DigitalOcean just makes it really easy to manage your tools, and it lets you work in Linux. It lets you work in a variety of Linux flavors. You just choose the one you want on your box. So I kind of like that. It helps me keep my Linux skills sharp. But every once in a while, I'll still open Eclipse. I'll still, spin up something on AWS just to, remind myself of a couple things on AWS. I haven't used Azure in a while. Perhaps I should do that. But, you got to remain flexible, right? So yeah, I use VS Code and Terminal at home. But, I still have Eclipse installed. I used to have PyCharm installed. I really like PyCharm. I just don't agree with PyCharm's licensing fees. I think their licensing fees are a little out of hand, right? So, that's kind of the attitude that I have taken, and that I would encourage others to take, just because every client environment, every work environment is different, right? You can't get too married to any environment. They're not going to adjust to you. You have to adjust to them. They're not going to say, oh, well, the new guy only knows VS Code. Let's all switch to VS Code. Right? They're not going to do that. So keep that in mind. But that's what I would recommend, Have the tools you work with at home, but still open some other stuff every once in a while. I still explore other stuff. Like, there was one recently that really caught my eye. I think it's called Zed. That's a new IDE that's trying to get up and running. I think they're only available for Mac right now. That's one of their downsides. They have a couple of downsides. But that caught my eye because that was built by the same people who built Atom. And I really liked the Atom editor. I thought Atom was fantastic. I wish it had never gone away. But, there were a couple things in Zed I didn't like. I don't want to get into that now, but some of their privacy stuff kind of concerned me. But, you try it and you move on, right? But if in the future a client is using it, I can say, yeah, I have experience with it. I've worked with it, right? So, you got to have that flexibility, okay? Vibob, good morning, Vibob. Hey, Dennis, Vibob here from UP, India. I have been I have been binge. I can't talk this morning. I have been binge watching your previous ISLA sessions. Excited to join the rest of the journey. Wonderful, Vibob. Thanks so much for that. So Vibob is referring to our Sunday classes. We have 4 more to go, so it's not too late to join. Sundays, 1500 GMT. Feel free to join us. And we are going to be doing chapter 7 tomorrow. I was just working on the materials for it yesterday. I think it's going to be a great session. You're welcome to get caught up, just like Vibob is doing. I'm doing 2 things, 2 ways to get caught up. You can go to YouTube, look in my previous videos. Just search for Introduction to Statistical Learning on my channel. And I have 4 sessions so far. It's about 10.5 hours worth of content. So Vibob, you have your work cut out for you. That's a lot of binge watching, my friend. So you can do that. Or what I'm doing on my channel, I've also created a media loop that's going to play all 10 hours overnight. So if you want to, check my channel later, I'll be live and it'll be the media playing. And you can get caught up that way, okay? You can get caught up by looking at my previous stuff and looking at the classes there. And I did that because that way you can look at it, come back to it, maybe take a little break, come back to it, and it'll just be playing live on continuously, okay? So that's another way to do it. But we've been having a great time on Sundays. I teach with the Socratic method, which means that I ask a lot of questions. And we keep the conversation going back and forth. So feel free to let us know, about you and about where you are in your journey. But then I'll also be asking questions, and then you can feel free to participate as comfortable as you are comfortable. Right? Some people want to participate, others don't. That's okay. You can just hang back, or you can just say, "Yeah, I agree with this other answer that Michael gave or that Landry gave or whatever." Right? That's totally okay too. It's all about your comfort level, right? But we're having a good time with it. We are, going to meet for another 4 sessions. Another thing is that we meet at 1500 GMT, but we have never gone less than like 2.5 hours. So maybe you can't make the beginning. That's okay. Come later. Come like an hour later. We're very likely to still be there. Come 2 hours later. We're very likely to still be there. Right? The classes tend to run long because we have a lot of good discussion. There's a lot of good material in the book. I try to prepare the best materials that I can. So yeah, just come join us. So Vibob, thanks so much for reminding us of that. I'm glad you're binge watching. That's why I save all my live stuff, right? Because people do watch it later. That's been one of the most surprising things of this whole journey. How many people actually watch my replays? I didn't think that was a thing, but people do that. So guys, I want to bring up one more item here. If you guys are not familiar with our Discord, it's also becoming a great resource for the entire community. This is our Discord. It's the same people that, from my channel. You're going to find the link that's already pinned in your chat. And people are posting their projects, their questions, their analysis. I post articles or where my streams are going live. Really good stuff in here. I have been really surprised with how good the community is. Everybody keeps things professional. Everybody's trying to help each other. It's the community helping the community. So if you haven't joined it, I would recommend you joining. We're building something really nice there. People are saying, "Hey, I'm stuck here. Can you help me with this?" Or, "Hey, look at this analysis that I did. What do you guys think of this?" So really lots of good stuff that's happening on the Discord. So the invite is there. It's completely free. There is a subscription option available. And if you do want to join that way, I appreciate your support, but it's completely free. Otherwise, we have 117 people in there today. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot more than I would have thought would have joined. So feel free to join. Really good community happening there. Okay. All right, guys. So if you're joining us on Instagram or on YouTube, feel free to introduce yourself. A little bit of a slower Saturday today. Okay. So Daniel says, amazing. So Daniel's following up on his question. He had some questions about, how he's doing on his path with Oracle certifications. So Daniel says, amazing, I totally got your point, but the reason I did that certification is just because I was passionate about the idea of ML. So I will divide that certification into two parts. One where they explained the concept of AI, MI, and DL, JNI in so much depth, and the other part was about their service, specifically OCI services of Oracle. Yep. And yes, I was doing that certification just to tighten my hands around the concept of these engineering MLDL neural networks and ANN, these kinds of things. And just because of the certification, I can say yes. Okay. I got that theoretical knowledge pretty much so far, and the reason behind I'm moving forward to Gen AI professional exams because it helped me build LLMs models. Okay, good. That sounds great, Daniel. But I want to adjust the last line that you said, because you're not going to be learning LLM model. You're not going to be learning how to build LLM models. You're going to be learning how to build LLM models on Oracle offerings, right? You got to remember that. You're basically committing yourself to the Oracle world, right? So be careful with that, right? Well, I shouldn't say be careful with that. I should say, you got a decision point there, right? Are you going to be an Oracle guy, or are you going to expand beyond that? I'm not sure if there's a wrong choice there, but it is an important choice, okay? So Daniel further writes, and it will also be divided into two things: practical knowledge about LLM's raglan gains, and others will be their services. So I'm totally focusing on to become an ML guy, but not on Oracle or AWS guy. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, I want to build something through ML, so it was crucial for me to start from somewhere. So I started in Oracle as it was a free certification. And leveraging it, I want to kickstart my freelance journey. So wish me luck, and have any other tips, do let me know. Thanks, Dennis. Sorry for this long text. I'll be careful, Dennis. We'll try my best to use other cloud services too and get fluent in that too. Thanks, though. Okay. So what's catching my eye is you're saying you're focusing on being a machine learning guy, but not an Oracle or AWS guy. But you're taking the Oracle certifications though, and I understand how you're saying you did it because they're free, and that's not a bad reason to do it. But isn't this certification showing you how to do it with Oracle tools though? Like, when I think of a certification like this, they're probably not showing you how to do it with a lot of raw code, right? I mean, are they using raw code to demonstrate these things, or how are they doing it? Because that's kind of like the double-edged sword, right? The reason they offer it for free is because it enables more people to use Oracle products, right? So I'm kind of stuck on that. Like, to get to where you want to be, if you want to be doing LLMs, machine learning, and you want to be doing it independent of any vendor, you're going to have to learn a lot more about the methodology, about the process, and about the coding, right? Because another downside to being, like an Oracle guy is that it kind of takes some of the coding out of it, because their tools take some of the coding out of it, right? Now, don't get me wrong, you're still able to learn the high level stuff. Maybe they are doing a good job of teaching the methodology, and hey, when we go to a client, this is the first thing we ask of them. We need a document repository. We need their involvement. So if they're teaching you that, then that's great. That's inherently good, right? But programs like this usually don't teach you a lot of like raw code. They usually teach you, here's how you do. Here's how you stand up an LLM with our tools, right? And then their internal process and coding takes over from there, right? They're not going to teach you that part. Daniel says, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know this program specifically. I'm totally happy to be wrong on this. But, I've been through these certifications before. I worked for IBM for many years. I've been one of their consultants. So I kind of know how the game is played, right? I mean, the companies are not offering these certifications free out of the goodness of their heart. They're offering it to increase their installed user base, right? and their availability for consultants to serve their installed client base, right? That's kind of like where you're headed with this, right? Like those platinum partners and all that, they exist to serve Oracle's user base, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's what I would encourage you, Daniel, that you're still going to have to do a lot more work on your own. You're going to have to still learn the code on your own. So if you're interested, start coming to the classes. On Sunday, we do this book. This book is preferred by most people because it is agnostic to any tool. There's an R version, there's a Python version. I'm teaching it as an AI version where we're using AI to write the code for us. But this book gives you that meta view into saying, okay, like, how do I actually build the model? How am I testing the model? How am I saying that this model is good or this model is maybe not so good? The Oracle course isn't going to teach you that, right? So keep that in mind. The Gambling Man, you're back, my friend. How are you? Hello, been a long time since I came back. Hey, that's okay. The point is you came back, so I appreciate you coming back. I appreciate you being a subscriber. Thanks so much for that. Leo says, hi everyone. Hi Dennis. Leo, how you doing, my friend? You're late this morning. Hope that you're doing well. So Daniel is asking, what is the name of the book? It's this one here. Introduction to Statistical Learning. I'll put it a little closer to the center. Maybe that helps. There we go. Introduction to Statistical Learning. If you go to statlearning.com, that is the website for the authors, and they make the PDFs freely available for download. So, but like I said, it's a hard book. You probably need to take it in an academic setting, or you can come on Sundays and kind of be guided through it, because that's what I'm doing. I'm guiding people through the book. Okay? Leo says, I got into a night of argument with my girlfriend. Oh, sorry to hear that. I think we've all been there, right? But sorry to hear that, Leo. Hope you and her are doing well. But yeah, glad to see that you made it. So Daniel says, yeah, also they want you to be prerequisite of Python coding, but I'm getting your point. Actually, I'm working like building blocks, I guess, but overall, I want you to adjust me in terms of freelance. Daniel, look, you came here because you wanted honest answers, right? And I'm giving you my real world view on this, right? My real world view on this is that at 19, you're probably not ready for freelance. You're probably not ready for the... Well, I think it's not a surprise to you that you probably still need to work on a little bit on your technical skills, right? But that's only half of the freelancing or the consulting equation. The other half of the consulting equation is being able to manage your clients properly. And that's not always easy. There's a complete art to that, right? There's a complete art to the sales cycle. There's a complete art to managing the client expectations and, setting up the contracts properly, right? Because, you shouldn't work without a contract in a freelance situation. And then there's ways for you to manage the project itself. And then there's also ways to manage your entire business so that you don't have to go jumping from contract to contract, right? How do you manage that project and then build that relationship so that you can keep on building with that client, right? And then, there's good ways to do consulting and there's bad ways to do consulting, right? I'll give you guys two of my favorite sayings. One saying is called the 333 consultant. Have you guys ever heard of that? Let me know in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you have heard of the 333 consultant, or give me a 0 in the chat if you haven't heard of the 333 consultant. So if you know what a 333 consultant is, give me a 1. If you don't know what it is, give me a 0. I'll give you guys a minute in the chat to do that. A 1 if you know what a 333 is, a 0 if you don't know what it is. All right, a couple zeros coming in. All right, yep. That's the expected result. It's kind of a little bit of an older term, but there's something known as a 333 consultant. So that's a consultant who finds 3 clients, bills them 3 hours a day, and he's on the golf course by 3 p.m. Right? And that's a 333 consultant. That's not usually a good idea, right? They exist, but that's usually not a good way to go about it. The second saying that I like, that again, maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not, is when you're talking to a consultant, they might tell you, oh, or you might ask them, do you specialize in an industry? Do you specialize with a particular type of client? And they reply, no, the best kind of client is the client that pays. And that's something that you might come across too. Not every client pays on time, guys. Not every client will pay you. 10% of you being a consultant is just chasing down your invoices and chasing down your time cards from people that owe you money. That's a thing. That happens in the consulting world. Or the next time, even to other people, the next time you talk to an accountant or a lawyer or somebody, tell them, ask them, how many clients or how many invoices do you have to let go every year because people won't pay you? And they'll tell you, it's like 10%, 15%. Same thing for consultants, right? You can't, just because it's Friday doesn't mean they're going to have a check all nicely ready for you to go, right? You're going to have to push on that. So Daniel, are you ready for that? Are you ready to go start managing client relationships and start chasing down invoices when somebody tells you, we're going to have to pay you next month? That's a thing, right? So again, that's why I'm encouraging you to, if you want, embrace Oracle and then go work for one of their partners. Go work for one of their silver partners, and then go work for a gold partner, and then you work up to a platinum partner. Or maybe, Oracle itself will hire you, but that's more rare, right? Most of those companies carry a smaller and smaller staff of their own consultants, right? So, are you prepared for all of that? Sorry guys, those sneezes came out of nowhere. Sorry about that. So, are you prepared for that, right? Alex Code says hi over there. Hey Alex, good to see you. I think this is your first time joining, so thanks for being here. Daniel says, I mean, it's never a bad day to start and get hurt and get experience of this management too. Okay, look, I don't want to crush your enthusiasm, right? I love the enthusiasm I'm hearing, so good for you. But just keep in mind, this is also your reputation, right? What if you can't deliver a project in an appropriate way? One, they're not going to pay you, and they're not going to pay you for good reason. And two, now your reputation stinks, right? So you got to be careful with that. You got to be careful with how you structure a contract. If I were to send you a freelance client right now, would you know how to structure the contract so that it's fair to both sides? Are you seriously prepared for that? I mean, there's a whole skill to that, right? So you got to be careful with that. Be careful with how you go about this. So, because your reputation does matter, okay, Daniel? So just be careful with that. Daniel says, let's try this. How's that? Dennis gives me a good luck and I will try my best. You're welcome to try, Daniel. Like I said, I don't want to crush your enthusiasm, but freelance consulting is not something that you should start lightly. There's an entire art to it. And I'm giving you that after being a freelance consultant many times throughout my career. When I'm not working for a corporation, I'll take some time off. I'll do my own corporate consulting or client consulting individually. And I'm just giving you that view, right? But it's up to you. I don't want to crush your enthusiasm. I'm just giving you my real world experience, okay? All right, so Alex Code says yes, this is his first time. So Alex, welcome. And Alex, if you haven't joined our Discord, feel free to click on the link in the YouTube chat. It's pinned in the YouTube chat. We have a good good community there. And Daniel, this goes for you too. If you want to join the Discord and get the view of other people who want to go into freelance, that's also a good idea. So Alex, if you want to join us on Discord, feel free to do that. So Alex says, which of these positions, data science, machine learning engineer, and data engineer, are easier to get into in the United States for a full-time remote job? Alex, that's not really the type of questions that we answer here per se. And I say that because I'm not somebody who puts out content to sell people beautiful dreams about becoming a high-paid data scientist, right? My intent with my content is to prepare professional data scientists for the future, to prepare to work in the industry. So my goal here is not to pass interviews or land a remote job. My goal here is to learn professional data science in a professional way. Because if you can do that, then everything else about, can I get a job? Can I pass the interviews? Can I, move up in my career? Can I do freelancing like Daniel wants to do? All of that comes easier, right? The best way to pass the data scientist interview is to actually be a data scientist, right? I've always said that. So I want to make I want to kind of make that clear to you, because I'm not one of those fake influencers out there that are trying to sell you a course or tell you that you can pass a job if you just buy my cheat sheet for the interview or something. That's not professional data science, and that's not really what I do. So you're welcome to start coming to our classes. If you really want to become a professional, this is where the road begins. This book is very powerful for that. So I'm teaching this book and how to do it with Gen AI tools, because that's also part of the future of being a data scientist, knowing how to use Gen AI tools appropriately. And I don't, this course, this is not my book. I don't charge for the course. I don't sell anything. The only thing I sell is I do sell my book, my first year in data science. It's available on Amazon. You're welcome to buy it there if you want to support me. But otherwise, I don't sell any other cheap courses or anything like that. I don't use ChatGPT to make up my materials, like other people do. So Alex, that's what I would encourage you to follow in your path, because it's the path that's worked for me, and it's really kind of the intent of what I want to do. I'm a little later in the stages of my career, so it's my duty at this stage to make sure that data science as a profession can still continue into the future, right? Beyond me. So that's why I do this, because I want people to, become better data scientists, right? And not be sold those cheap dreams that, that are out there on social media or on LinkedIn or whatever. Okay. So I hope that helps, Alex. Leo says, that's why I think consulting should be done later in the career. The clients must be aware of who you are and taking you seriously enough to take your ideas. Yeah, Leo, I completely agree. I like the second statement you wrote. The client must be aware of who you are and taking you seriously enough to take your ideas. So Leo, what you're describing there is kind of like the holy grail of consulting. And you're going to hear this term known as the trusted advisor. As a consultant, that's what you're really looking to become. You're looking to become the client's trusted advisor. Because if you can reach that, then you're at a point where you're working hand in hand with them, and you're being trusted by them. You're presenting them with good solutions, and that all of that is good for the technical side and the relationship side, right? For the business side, that also helps you, because now you're the go-to person when they have another project. A couple months from now, when they need something, you're going to be their first call, right? You're going to be the first person in line when they need to put out a consulting call or when they have another project lined up. So from a technical side, it's good. And, because you're delivering projects, you're providing them value, you're making an impact, your reputation's solid. But then on the business side, now you don't have to go running from client to client, because now you got a couple of clients that where you're their trusted advisor and you're their first phone call, right? That's how you kind of survive over the long term. Because you really can't have this feast or famine approach to consulting. That doesn't hold up over time, right? So that's another reason why it's valuable to make sure you're going to consulting when you're ready, because you want to be able to become that trusted advisor. You're not going to be the trusted advisor on day one. Just because they hired you doesn't mean anything, right? You got to deliver and you got to show impact. And over time, you will become that trusted advisor. And then over time, you'll become a trusted advisor to this group, this manager. But then if that manager talks well of you, then you become a trusted advisor to another manager in another division, and so on, right? That's how you build a career in consulting. I've been fortunate to be able to do that. But that's why you want to be ready and why you want to deliver properly and you want to structure the contracts properly and all of that, right? So I'm going to stop there because it looks like Daniel wants to go in another direction, and that's okay. But, you know, it's important. It's important. Michael says, are there data science jobs more remote or in person or a combination of both? Yeah, Michael, that's a great question. So I'll give you two parts to that answer, right? My sense of speaking to other hiring managers and other people out there is that yes, there is definitely a decreased demand for remote jobs. Most jobs right now are going to want you in the office. So I'm not going to say that the days of remote work are over, but it's becoming harder and harder to get a remote job. And then the second thing I'll tell you is if you go back to one of my chats, one of my live streams, I believe I call it the data science salary survey overview or salary discussion. We had a live stream where we went over a Selby Jennings report on the financial industry and the salaries in the financial industry and kind of the outlook, right? They interviewed people and managers for it. And they said that 55% of job seekers were willing to go through an interview process with the understanding that it would be an on-site job. So in other words, 55% of the respondents were willing to go back into the office. Okay? So I bring that up because that's your competition, right? So in other words, said another way, when you see a job and you say, I'm going to apply for this, 55% of the other applicants are willing to go into the office. So if you're saying, I'm going to apply, but I really need it to be a remote job, you're immediately in the minority, right? The other 55% already have an edge up on you because they're willing to go into the office and you're not. And they haven't even read your resume, right? They haven't even interviewed, nothing. You're already behind on as soon as you apply and you say, I kind of need this to be a remote job. So that's in the Selby Jennings financial industry. I think it's called the Financial Industry Salary Report. You're welcome to look that up on my YouTube. I made a special thumbnail for it and everything. You really can't miss it. Look for data science salaries. But yeah, I mean, I have seen it from hiring managers that I know, and I have also, there's the data to back it up. So the current number is 55%. I think that number is going to continue to climb, right? There's really no reason to believe that number is going to go down unless we have another pandemic, right? But yeah, so Michael, that's what I would tell you. It's increasingly harder. Okay. Alex says, coming back to his previous question, I am Cuban and currently living in Mexico. That is why I'm asking, but I hope to be in USA soon. Yeah, I get that, Alex, but I didn't reply to you based on your location or anything else. I replied to you based on some of the keywords I picked up in your question, because one, you described the positions in a way that doesn't make sense, right? There is no data science position per se, right? And also because you were focused on passing the job interview and landing the job. That's not the focus. The focus is being a data science professional, right? There's a difference there, right? So yeah, I mean, whether you're in the U.S. or outside of the U.S. or whatever, that's okay. I'm more about, I don't train people just to land jobs. I train people to be professionals in the industry, right? At least that's my goal with my content, because I think, and like I said, I'm not. That's not like a capricious choice I'm making. But it is the way I help the industry best because I'm here to help the profession of data science, right? So that's kind of where my answer was rooted. It wasn't really rooted, in your particular location or anything else. I mean, I'm agnostic to that. So Leo is continuing our consulting conversation, which is great. When I think of consulting, I think more of helping someone assessing their issues and coming up with solutions, not necessarily doing the hard work. For that, I'd offer an independent project. Like, I have this and I can help you. It's going to cost you X if they accept it. Great. Not so fast on that, Leo. Not so fast on that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm on board with that. Because it's not all just about coming up with solutions and doing the hard work and then letting them doing the hard work. That is part of consulting, but believe it or not, I would only say that's about 30 to 40% of it. And again, I'm saying that based on my experience, right? So let me tell you this, right? So Leo, let's do some role playing here, Leo, because I know you're really active in the chat. Let's do some role play, okay? So somebody comes to you and says, "Yeah, Leo, I see that you have some good skills on your resume. I got a reference from you from my friend at this other company. Said that you're a decent guy. I have somebody here who's going out on parental leave. They just had a baby. They're going to be gone for the next 6 months. I need backfill for that position for the next 6 months. What do you think?" So come on, Leo. What are you replying? Tell me, Leo. Give me an answer to that. While we're waiting for Leo, I'm going to go through the chat. So Aya says facts. Aya, I'm sorry I didn't get to your statement earlier. Which part are you referring to? Are you referring to the consulting side? Or give us a little more there. Feel free to just share. I know that you're a frequent attendee. Love seeing you back. Give us a little more on what part you're agreeing with. Would love to hear more from you. Megzube Burhan says, hello, everyone. Hello, Megzube. Megzube, let us know where you're from. We usually invite people to let us know the city, state, province, country that they're from, just to kind of build community. I think this is your first time here, so let me know, okay? Stippus, good to see you. Stippus says howdy. Stippus has posted, Stippus is a very active member on our Discord. He's posted some really interesting stuff. So coming back to the Discord here, Stippus has posted his GitHub to look at some of the items that he's working on. So if you want to join the Discord, feel free to click on the links. They're in the chat already. But good to see you, Stippus. Hope that you're doing well. So Leo says, well, that's not consulting, I think. That's a short-term position and it's fine. I disagree, Leo. That is definitely a form of consulting, right? Because think about a couple things I said in my introduction, right? It's a new client. It's a new client that you got based on your reputation, and it's for 6 months. For consulting contracts, that's a lot. Most companies can't afford you for more than a couple of weeks, right? Especially in the way that you described, where you're saying, well, I'm just going to go in there, give them the solution, and then they build it. Well, guess what? When they're building it, they're not paying you, right? So a 6-month backfill position is very much consulting. I guarantee you that if you go to PwC, they'll send you somebody for that. Even the big ones like PwC, they live on those backfill positions. They will send somebody and they will have that person, do your onboarding process, and they'll sit there just like an employee does, right? They'll pack their lunch too, and they'll come because it's still billing, right? Like for the business side, it's still good. You're still able to bill, and you're still able to build a relationship and a reputation with a new client. So yeah, so don't be quick to put that to the side. Doing that type of backfill or doing something where you're getting your hands dirty and building the solutions is very much a part of consulting, right? And another thing I tell people is even if you go to the big companies like PwC or IBM or whomever, Consulting is a lot of solo work, right? So a lot of times it's you at the client site executing whatever code they need. That's a lot of client work. I mean, I got sent to Canada for 9 months because the client didn't know how to do a system upgrade to their IBM products. Like, I sat there and I did their entire system upgrades for like 9 months. So I assure you that even at the large companies, it's going to be, okay, you're going to go here and you're going to do the heavy lifting at this client. Or somebody was talking about Oracle, or I also experienced this at IBM. At IBM and Oracle, Microsoft, a lot of times when you're a consultant there and you get sent to a client site, they're expecting something like extra from you, right? They're like, they've already Googled the answer, right? Like if they're stuck on something and they're bringing you in for it, they've already Googled it, right? They already have a support ticket. Like the companies they send you to already have the super VIP, tech support accessibility, right? They already have a ticket. Like 90% of the time when I was sent to a client site, there was already a ticket associated with it that I had to read through to find out what had happened. Like they're not just sending you because, hey, it's day one and we just want to talk and hang out. Like they're sending you with a very specific technical task in mind, right? Like my manager used to joke with me. He said, we'll helicopter you in and then you got to shoot your way out, right? Like you either finish the task for them or you didn't. So be careful with that, right? It's not always just, hi, let's talk and here's the solution for you and I'm going to draw a nice diagram for you and okay, you guys take over from here. Goodbye. Because one, those contracts are very rare, and two, you're cutting yourself off at the knees. That's like a 2-week contract and then you're unemployed again, right? Like, why would you do that? So keep that in mind, Leo. You're a smart guy. I mean, I know you get it. Megzeb says from Ethiopia. Okay, cool. Welcome. Welcome, Megzeb. Hussein says, hello, everyone. I am in India. You can't just tell me India. India's a huge country, right? Megzeb says first time here. Okay, Megzeb, thanks for being here. Welcome. Let me finish, Megzeb. I see your question. I'm going to come back to it. Let me finish out some of these consulting items because I think we're on a good track there with the consulting. Leo says consulting for me, it's more connected to helping them with a problem. Not always, Leo. Like I said, the way you described it is like 30 to 40%. But I'll tell you this though, at large companies, they don't grade you by the number of solutions you deliver. They grade you by something known as the utilization rate. And utilization rate is a very nice way of saying how many clients did you bill, right? Utilization rate is how many hours, like at a PwC, right? How many hours did PwC pay you because you were not at a client side? That's called being on the bench, right? How many hours were you on the bench versus how many times were you utilized? All right, when you hear utilize, you should hear client billing, right? How many times were we able to bill you to a client? That's how they measure you. That's your entire performance review at the end of the year. It's not how many clients did you make smile and gave you a positive review. It's your utilization rate. Billing is a business. Excuse me, consulting is a billing business. So yes, you want to go in there and do a good job. You're gonna develop personal relationships. I still keep in touch with a lot of people, but that's not everything. Okay. Who is sending me an Instagram video? That's weird. Somebody was sending me an Instagram video chat. Guys, I'm in the middle of streaming. That's weird. So keep that in mind, Leo. Consulting is not all as it seems. It's still very much a billing business. And I'm not trying, and just to be clear, guys, I'm not trying to poo-poo any of the consulting companies. I have friends who work with PwC, have done projects with PwC. I've worked for IBM multiple times. I've flown all around the world for IBM, doing client projects for them. But it's a different business. Joseph says, hello, Dennis and everyone. Hope everyone is well. Late today. Hey, good to see you, Joseph. Glad you're here. So Aya is giving her thoughts. Freelancing and consulting is not that easy. I agree. Yes, about consulting. Most people think freelancing is going to get them to be a rich data scientist, but it's more than that. Sometimes clients don't even know what they want, and you need to help them. Yeah, absolutely, Aya. That's another thing, right? You know, and this is why I tell you guys that I want to prepare you guys not to pass the interviews, but to be a data scientist. Because let's say you land that freelance contract. Let's say you land that full-time job, right? Okay, so you passed, right? The cheat sheet worked, right? You passed and you got a data science job. What then? What then? You're going to show up on day one and they're going to tell you, okay, here's some data. We're giving you database access. Come back to me with a report in 2 days. Give me 5 ideas in 2 days. What then? So Aya here is speaking to the creativity that you need. You need to be creative, right? You need to be creative and say, okay, well, I studied your business. I studied some industry reports. I looked at some of your data. Here's an idea that I think can help you guys. Here's idea number 2. Here's idea number 3. You have 2 days to come up with a presentation where you're going to stand up in front of 20 people and give them 5 data science ideas, 5 consulting ideas. You ready for that? Daniel, I don't know if you're still online, but like, are you ready for that? Are you ready to come up in 2 days with project ideas? Like viable business impact ideas? And not small ones either, because you have to overcome your own freelancing fees also, right? You can't be charging $10,000 and come up with an idea that makes $7,000, right? Are you ready for that? Some people are, some people aren't. Right? That's why it kind of pays to go through a consulting company and be like I said, work for one of those partners first. So yeah, I think Aya is hitting on a lot of really important points here, right? You can't be going it for the money or for the glory or for data science is the sexiest job of the 21st century. You can't be doing that. It's your reputation on the line. It's your business acumen that's going to get you through this, whether you have it or not, right? Consulting is a whole other animal. I should probably I can write a whole book on consulting. But yeah, just keep that in mind, guys. Okay. Leo says, I hear you. I just don't know if I'd accept that, to be honest. Try missing a couple of car payments and then come back and tell me if you'd accept that or not. Okay. Try missing a couple of car payments and chasing down 2 previous clients that are refusing to pay you. Then tell me if you'd accept that. 6 months at a new client and it's backfill? Oof. That's my bread and butter, baby. Yeah, so get a couple years under you, Leo, and then come back and tell me if you'd accept that. So Mexebe, I don't want to ignore your question. You're a first-time person here. So what is the best strategy to find a remote job? How can I get myself more professional in this field? Any work or team which I can work on a projects. So Mexebe, I think you might have joined a little bit later after we had this discussion, but there are definitely signs out there that indicate that finding a remote job is becoming harder and harder, right? It's very difficult for people to be landing remote jobs, and the data is out there to support that, right? We on a previous live stream, we went over data where 55% of job seekers are willing to go back into the office. They're willing to be on site. So if your view is exclusively remote, then you're already behind, right? You're in the 45% minority. So keep that in mind. I love your question about getting yourself more professional in the field. It sounds like maybe you still might be getting started. So start coming on Sundays. On Sundays, we are going through this book. This book is where professional data science begins. If you really want to be a professional in industry, this is a pretty good place to start. We're doing a chapter a week. We're doing chapter 7 tomorrow, 1500 GMT. You can get caught up by going to my channel. 2 ways to get caught up. In the archives of my channel, you're going to find the previous 4 sessions. Tomorrow's session number 5, so you can look at the 4 sessions. Or I play the previous sessions on a loop so that you can come back to it at any time and pick up a little here, come back to it. when you have a few minutes free. So you look at my channel later today, and it'll be live, and it'll be playing constantly, and you can see the previous broadcasts. Okay. But work on your skills, work on becoming a professional in the industry, right? I love that outlook that you're showing in your message, and that will help you with the jobs, with the interviews, with your first assignments, okay? Leo says, yeah, I need to think about that. Thank you, Dennis. It makes sense. Yeah, Leo. I mean, you're not a consultant. Like I appreciate that you have a vision for what you want to do and how you want to keep things professional, and hey, this is what I do in my consulting practice. Like, I get that, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, I appreciate that about you, but you're not a consultant if you're not billing someone, right? I mean, that's like the other reality, right? So you got to balance those. So in that example I gave you, like, you can't afford to just like put that type of contract, that type of offer to the side. Right? I mean, if it's a good company and the tech and their tech expectations are still within your skill set, like, you got to take that all day. Okay. So Hussein clarifies that he's joining us from India, Bangalore. Cool. Welcome. Good to see you. Okay. So Stipis says, so where is the line between being a consultant and being an employee? For example, a contractor can be an employee legally because it depends on the relationship with the business. A contractor that does a project and most of the control of doing it is often deemed a contractor. If you're basically just doing what the manager says, you can consider to be an employee. Yes, Stipis, you're right about that, but you're looking at it from like a tax perspective, right? Because this is basically similar to what the IRS would say, right? Or the local authorities, like, if the company needs to pay, like, worker compensation on you and things like that, right? So I get where you're coming from, but a lot of this is just addressed in the contracts that you set up ahead of time, right? And also, I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about being an independent, because if you're coming in from PwC or IBM or another company, then this conversation doesn't even come into the equation. You're still considered an employee of PwC or E&Y, whoever brought you in, right? So this only applies if you're completely independent, but again, you would address that in your contracts with them, right? Because you should never do a freelance without a contract. And you should write the contract. Yeah, you present them with the contract. And by doing that, you're making it clear that you're an employee of yourself, of your own company, because you should also have your own company, right? You should have your own LLC or your own corporation and do it that way, right? So yeah, so keep that in mind, that you're looking at it from like the tax perspective, but that's not necessarily the contract nature that you're going to set up with them. Okay. Anushka says, hello, I'm Anushka from Pune, India. Welcome, Anushka. Can you tell me when do you do these live sessions, trying to be consistent? Oh, thanks, Anushka. And by the way, I think this is the first time I've seen you, so welcome if it's your first time. Yeah, I'm trying to be consistent too. So generally speaking, you can find me here at 1500 GMT every day. That's when we're live. Now, I don't do the same sessions every day. Sometimes I bring in guests. Sometimes I'll do like little mini lessons, or on Sundays I'm doing the ISL book. But yeah, 1500 GMT is generally when you can find me here. Every once in a while, I will do sessions at my evening time, which is a more morning convenient time for Asia or parts of India. So feel free to come to those too. The best way is to set up your notifications on YouTube. So subscribe and then notify on YouTube. And in that way, YouTube will tell you when I'm starting up. But generally speaking, 1500 GMT every day, you can find me here. I'm too passionate about data science to not be here. So I'm usually here every day. Okay. But thanks for coming, Anushka. All right. Hussein says, I completed a master's in computer science and now in sales development executive in SaaS. I want career transition to data science. Please give suggestions how and long it to land the job. Hussein, we don't put timelines on this, right? We're not looking to make just quick moves to pass the interview. We're looking to become a professional in data science. So if you'd like, on my YouTube, I have a video called how I made the mid-career transition into data science. It's a video on there where I talk about my entire journey of how I did it. I was a software developer for about 10 years and then made the switch into data science. So that can help you. Generally, just the general term that I use is it took me about 2 years until I was comfortable putting myself out there as a data scientist. I didn't have a data scientist resume until about 2 years into that journey. So use that as a general rule of thumb, because that's just my experience. It may or may not be yours. But the video is called "How I Made a Mid-Career Transition to Data Science." Okay. Aya says, true, it is key, creativity and curiosity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are the two skills that as a data scientist you have to have, and as a consultant you have to have, right? So yeah, I'm completely in agreement with you. Without those, it's going to be really hard to have a long career in data science. Bala says, hi Dennis, how's the job market for data science in USA? It's been a struggle to get interviews as an international student in USA. Bala, does that mean that you're somebody that requires sponsorship? Is that part of the reason? Is that what you mean by international student? Bala, if that's the case, then you should be examining your resume. So on YouTube, I have a video, how to write a data science resume. I ran a live stream where I gave you guys a template for how I would structure a data science resume. It's a template that I've used before with success. So, because I don't think you should be focusing on the interviews yet, you should be focusing on why you're not getting those callbacks. It could be the sponsorship, that is a deterrent. I get that. But you should also be looking at your resume, right? What are the things in your resume that you could tune up? Okay. By the way, for those of you that are international students or international workers here in the US, this past year, one of the greatest things I was able to do this past year is I was able to tell somebody that they won the H-1B lottery and their visa was approved. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. You don't get to do that very often in your career, but I got the word back from the lawyers, and the lawyers said that he had won the lottery and his visa was good. I think it's for 10 years for the H-1B. So I was able to deliver that news to him, and that was obviously a big moment, because when that happens, a lot of your headaches and a lot of the weight goes away from your mind, right? So that was really cool that I was able to do that for him. This last year, I think it was under 8% of applicants that won. I think it was like less than 8%, something like that. I can't remember what the latest numbers were, but that was pretty cool. That was, you don't get to do that often in your career, but so I share that because it does happen, right? The numbers are stacked against you for sure, but it does happen. Some people do win the H-1B lottery. And for those of you not familiar, H-1B is the visa here in the US that lets you stay as a technical worker. You can stay in the US for 2 years, and then in those 2 years, you got to win the lottery, or you have to move on, unfortunately. But one of my employees, one of the guys who works for me, was able to win that and be here for the next 10 years. I was really happy for him. Really a nice moment to be able to do that. Sanigarapu says, where are you currently working? What are you talking about? I'm working right here. I'm working right now. You're in my office. This is work. It's hard to put this content together for you guys. Like, look, it takes me you guys see the stream, right? But it takes me like half an hour to 45 minutes to start up the stream. After the stream is over, I work for 2 hours to get the content and the clips and film my own stuff. And then I'm on Discord, I'm on Instagram, I'm answering people's messages. What are you talking about where I work? Right here. You're in my office. Try and keep up, okay? Leo says, I'm willing to go to the office. Yeah, okay. Well, you're in the 55%, Leo. So that's good. Vaibhav is also right behind you at the office. Hey, maybe you guys can go to lunch together. Megzebe says, okay, thank you. I hope it helps, Megzebe. I don't mean to sound discouraging to people, but remote jobs are increasingly harder to get, okay? And God Analytics says, just yesterday I found your channel on YouTube. Today it's live. Thanks from Mumbai. Oh, thank you too, God. I appreciate you saying that, and welcome. I am growing. I'm consistently adding new users, so I do try to be welcoming to the new people. So thanks so much for joining us. Feel free to come back. I stream at 1500 GMT. Stippa says that makes sense. Thank you. Stippus, I'm trying to remember what your previous comments were about. About the contractor stuff. Yep, contractor versus employee. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. But you're just giving the IRS definition. But all of that goes away when you establish a contract with your clients, right? Stippus says, I love how diverse the audience here is. It's cool hearing from people all over the world. It is cool, and I love that. I appreciate that about the audience also, Yeah. It just speaks to how important, how global data science is. So Anushka says, doing masters in electronics in Pune, studying to get an entry-level data science job and planning to pursue masters in the US. What is the scope for data science, aspirin, MS, and data science, or AI? Anushka, I did a little piece of content on this earlier this week. There shouldn't be a big difference between those two decisions. I'm willing to bet that if you sat down with both of those curriculums and sat there side by side, right? Take away the titles, just look at the curriculums. What are you going to be studying? They're going to be very, very similar. Very, very similar. Maybe there's going to be differences in the titles of the classes for sure, but there is no significant difference between studying data science and studying AI. I mean, to some degree, the people who are putting out the AI degrees, it's just a marketing ploy. It's still a data science. It's still based in data science fundamentals, right? So do your research on it, but it's probably not a big difference. Don't kill yourself over that decision, okay? Stippus says, for the international people, I know the US is the hub of tech in the world, but there's a lot of opportunities in Europe as well. Yeah, sure. Sure, absolutely. I can't speak to where those hubs are and the visa situation and all that. I know Europe is like a whole other thing with visas. But yeah, I mean, I agree, Stippus. The U.S. isn't the only place you should look towards. Even in consulting, when I was doing it for the other companies, I was sent to Canada, I was sent to Colombia, I was sent all over the world, right? Like tech exists everywhere. Right? I mean, I got to spend 3 weeks in Colombia working, for an interesting client, getting to know the country and the people there. Like, that was cool. I enjoyed that. I'd love to go back to Colombia. Nice people, good food in Colombia. I was there during Christmas time, like when they had like all the Christmas trees up in the middle of the city. Whew. Really, really good times. NV Cram says, hi Dennis, I'm trying to change my career to DevOps. Can you guide me? Sorry, I'm not really a DevOps guy. I mean, I appreciate the question, and I don't want to turn you away because I love that you're supporting my content. So thank you for that. But I like to stay in my lane. I only like to talk about things that I know, right? Like, so the professional thing is to tell you that I really don't know. I mean, I was a developer for 10 years, but I haven't been a developer in a long time. And don't get me wrong, I can still hold my own in C#. But sorry, I'm just not up on DevOps. Yeah. Yashving says, what's the reason behind recession in USA? Lots of reasons, right? And part of that is an economic discussion, part of that is a political discussion, and that's not really what I do here, right? So I appreciate the question. I appreciate the curiosity. If you want, maybe this is a question for our Discord. Maybe other people there can help you. I started the Discord so that the community can help the community, right? So feel free to post it there. The Discord link is pinned in the chat. So actually, I don't think it's pinned for Instagram. Let me put it in Instagram. Give me just a second to do that, guys. Okay, so you should be seeing the in the Instagram chat. you should be seeing the Discord link. I'm going to try to pin that. Give me just a second here, guys. All right, so now it's pinned in the Instagram chat. But feel free to ask the question there. You know, maybe more people will be happy to answer that, but that's not really my expertise. I mean, I have my own views on it, but you know, that's just me. Okay, so Stippus is providing some more information on Europe. France will give you a good visa if you have advanced degree or work for a startup. They waive most of the requirements you would normally have to meet. Okay, well, there you go. Good information, Stippus. Thanks. All Swoon says, hey, I'm a fresh CS grad, just moved to project management, although I had a interest in DS. Is it okay? Yeah, sure, of course. So if you go to my YouTube and you search for Data Scientist Roadmap for Students, that's a video that I made for somebody it's just like you asking this question, right? Because that is where you're going to be able to, you know, understand how I would recommend making the switch to data science. Okay, Data Scientist Roadmap for Students 2024 is what it's called. Naveen, I think you already asked that question in YouTube. So Aya asks, what is the title of the video of the resume preview in your YouTube, please? I couldn't find it. It's called How to Write a Data Scientist Resume. Or if you're in my channel page, you know, and you're doing like the channel search, you can just search for resume. It's one of the few videos I've done on resumes. So that should bring it up. And I think it's about 15 minutes long, has its own special little thumbnail that I created for it. But yeah, you could look there. Okay. If not, Aya, I know you're also a member on our Discord. I'll post it to the Discord later as soon as I finish here. So that way you can definitely find it. But you can find it, you know, via searching for resume, or, you know, just check the Discord later, okay? Yeah, so Leo was asking clarification if it was referring to DevOps and DS. What are you trying to do with DevOps? Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's another, like I said, that's also for the Discord, right? You could put it, you just ask in the Discord. There's some people there who have interest in DevOps, or maybe are doing DevOps now, right? You might want to ask there. Aya says yes. Yeah, Aya, I'll put it in the Discord when we're finished, okay? Dennis, could you talk about examples of questions that are asked in technical interviews for data science? I have some Instagram postings and YouTube postings on this where I give examples of it. But Alex, remember, you're still trying to pass the interview, my friend. Maybe try aiming your thoughts more towards becoming a professional, because if you can do that, the interview won't matter, right? You'll pass it like that, right? We're not trying to pass interviews. We're trying to become a professional. Okay. Uzair, good to see you, my friend. Uzair is our man in Cleveland, Ohio. Just joined the chat. Good to see you, Uzair. Yeah, we're going late today. You know, people are definitely joining in a little later today. I mean, we're almost at an hour and a half, which is long. It's a little bit long for my daily live streams. So yeah, people are coming in late. Well, Uzair, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Leo says, yeah, come to Discord. Yeah, absolutely, guys. We have a great community there. You know, and I've shared this story about how I feel so embarrassed that I didn't start the Discord earlier. I had the server ready for a month with nobody on it. I wasn't advertising the address or anything. I just thought, you know, nobody's going to use Discord. They don't want Discord. Nobody wants this. Well, nobody's going to join. And next thing you know, we have, how many people do we have? I have it up on my second monitor. We have 120 people, guys. We just broke 100 earlier this week, by the way. So that means 20 people have joined just like in the last couple of days. Like, that's crazy. I thought maybe like 5 people would join. Like, who uses Discord anymore? Oh, I better not advertise that. Nobody wants Discord. But now all you guys are on there. Let me bring that up. And all you guys are posting this great information. You know, I'm posting the streams. People are posting their GitHubs. People are posting their analysis. Yassine has done great analysis. I mean, like, we have a pretty good community building there, guys. And shout out to Patrick, Joseph, and Rex, who helped me out as mods. If you see them around, say thank you, because they do this on a volunteer basis. They help me with the mod, so they keep the conversation clean. But we're posting all kinds of good stuff on there. So feel free to join the Discord. And feel free to post your questions. Hey, what do you guys think of DevOps? Hey, I delivered this project, but I'm not sure. What do you guys think of this? Like, people are really supportive in there. And then, I try to jump in when there's places where I can give my view, but it's the community helping each other. So feel free to join the Discord. We have a good thing going there. Okay, guys? But yeah, Leo, thanks for being enthusiastic about it and waving that flag. I think we're building a good community there. Michael says, is there a relationship between project manager and data science? There can be. Sure, there can be, Michael. Sometimes as a data scientist, as a chief data scientist, I'm also the project manager, right? Sometimes you're helping train the project manager to understand the different data science, the differences between the project lifecycle and a data science lifecycle. Data science can be unique, right? Other times, and I think in this particular situation, maybe there are project manager that just doesn't want to do that anymore. They want to do data science. That's okay too. That's a viable career transition. Takes a little bit more work, but it can be done, right? So Michael, there's a lot of ties there, depending on how this person meant it, and how they see their career going. So yeah, I think there's a lot of ties there, Michael. Like I said, you might be the PM, right? Guys, when you're going to work for a company or project, you're not always going to have a dedicated project manager. You might be it, right? So yeah, it pays to know some project management. Well, we were talking about freelance consulting. You're going to be the project manager on that too, right? The client's going to give you feedback on it. They think you're working too slow and billing too many hours, but you're going to be the project manager too. So keep that in mind, yeah. Uzair says, I'm looking to buy this book called Data Science from Scratch from O'Reilly Publications. I don't know if you read about it. Any idea if it's good? I have not. The only book I can tell you about is my book, First Year in Data Science. Feel free to look at that. I'm providing the difference between academic work in data science and what you'll be expected to do in the real world. So very similar to my live streams. If you like my live streams, I think you'll enjoy my book because I give you the real world view. I give you my experience, after being a chief data scientist for a long time. So I can't speak to that book. But look, guys, overall, when it comes to books, don't have, paralysis by analysis on this, right? I mean, if it's a financial decision, that's another discussion, right? But don't, sit there and overanalyze books. Just get it. Just get the book. It's an investment in your future. I mean, if you really consider yourself a professional in the field, then just get the books. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't, but you'll learn something, right? Worst thing scenarios, you'll learn what not to do, right? You'll learn that, oh, that book was terrible. I don't want to do anything in that book. But you're still learning, you're still enriching yourself. And if you're serious about being in the industry, then buying it is a no-brainer. Like you shouldn't even be questioning it, right? I mean, I have my bookshelf back here. These are my quick access books. I have a whole other collection of books that are I reference them from time to time, But whenever I see a good book, I just buy it. Like, I'm a professional in the field. It talks about things I'm potentially interested in. Just get it, right? I mean, that shows an investment in your own knowledge, in your profession, right? So don't have paralysis by analysis when it comes to books. Stippus says, on the line of PMs and data scientists, does it look bad to be someone that doesn't really have an interest in moving up the ladder to some kind of management heavy role? No, not always. No. Every team needs worker bees, right? So no, I think you're just fine with that, Stippus. In fact, it's also good for you to establish that expectation with your managers, right? It's totally okay for you to do that. For you to say, hey, I'm a better role player than I am a leader, so that's what I want to do on this team. That's totally okay to do that. Yeah. I mean, it's a personal decision and you're kind of putting a ceiling on your career, right? And that's okay, right? You might have your own personal reasons why you're doing that. But yeah, no, I don't think that's bad at all. And I don't think that's bad if that's something that you like actively advertise, for the lack of a better word. Like if you make that known, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Okay? All right, guys. So last call for questions. We've gone an hour and a half. That's usually more than you guys go with me. So thumbs up to you guys for hanging in there with me. But yeah, I mean, last call for questions. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap up here. An hour and a half of a stream. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. But then again, I have been growing quite a bit on YouTube. So every time I go live, more and more people are alerted. So more and more people will be attending. I think that's just going to be the nature of the beast. I like to be kind of like an NCO when I'm working with a team. I like taking the leading role and getting the job done. I just don't want to be the one at the top giving orders. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can do that. Again, you're capping your progress, right? You're capping your salary, you're capping your title and your progress, but it can be done. Sure. Uzair says, I'll make sure to come earlier next time. Hey, Uzair, you're welcome anytime, my friend. And all of you are welcome tomorrow, Sunday, for our class. We're doing chapter 7 tomorrow. 2 ways to get caught up. Look at the archives. I have 4 live sessions up there. It's like 10 and a half hours, guys. You're going to have to binge it if you really want to catch up for tomorrow. But start coming. At least, come and be in the fellowship of the other people that are there. We've been having a great time. Some of the same people in the chat today have been coming, so I really appreciate you. But just to give you an idea of the level of conversation we have good people in there. And the second way to get caught up is I play all the classes on a loop. So maybe you want to come see the replay a little bit and then go take a break, come back. It'll be there. It'll be a continuous loop that I'm running now. Okay? But thank you so much, guys. Been really a fun chat. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. And I'll see you next time.